Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Taste of Transformation podcast. If you like what you hear, please share with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and all podcast platforms at Taste of Transformation for more episodes like this. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast or know of someone who would be a good guest, please reach out to us at tasteoftransformation@gmail.com. Enjoy this episode. Hi, I'm Charles Lewis, and welcome to Taste of Transformation. Our podcast interviews individuals who have been impacted by the criminal legal system, yet have successfully changed their lives. Our guests share their stories of challenges and triumphs, their transformative journey, and give tools and insights on how they and you can change your lives for the better. And we have these conversations over meals we used to cook while in prison. Our guest today is producer, business owner, my friend, Anthony Leslie. Leslie, what's up, bro?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
First, I want to thank you guys for coming out and hearing us today. As my partner said, my name is Anthony Leslie. I have a bachelor's degree in organization management and leadership. I also own my own business, A.L. Leslie's Janitorial Cleaning, Hauling, and Moving Company. I've owned this business for now 7 years. I'm what you call a second chance giver. I'm a second chance person. I've employed up to maybe 75 to 100 returning citizens and helped them get on their journey. But today, I'm here to talk about a taste of transformation. Now, this taste of transformation has two purposes. One is to bring awareness or shed light on the many returning citizens who have come home, have gone on to be productive members in their family, in their communities, and in the workforce. Two is to give examples or guidance for other people who are in those negative situations, overcome those negative situations and turn it into a positive situation. So we want to use their life experiences. We want to use the tools they use to help them overcome, and hopefully you guys can glean some of that and it'll help you overcome your circumstances. Yes.
This is your brainchild. You, Michael Love, a couple of other gentlemen who were behind the walls.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that, how the idea of the podcast, how did it come about? Because it didn't start off as a podcast. The idea didn't start off as a podcast.
Right.
So let's start off with that. How did this idea, or where did this idea come from and why?
Okay, this idea for this podcast came while myself, one of my co-producers, and several other returning citizens, we was in prison trying to get out. And what made it unique for us is that once we all agreed that we wanted to change our lives and we took responsibilities for our behaviors, wasn't many people listening. So amongst us, we agreed, at least I assure me and Mike, we was like, if I ever get out, if I ever get a chance to shed light on the transformations that goes on in prison and then transcends into society, that we was going to do that.
Why was that? Why did you feel that was important? Like, I know why, but I want the audience to understand why.
Well, because a lot of people had transformed their lives and they wasn't speaking about it. It was hidden. A lot of people that go home and they transform themselves. They take the negative circumstances and turn it into a positive circumstance. They change their life, and nobody was talking about it. You know, criminal justice initiatives, mainstream media, either was unwilling or unable to really tell these stories that they would be able to help other people who find themselves in negative circumstances, who would need to use some of the tools that we use to get out. Not only to get out, but to make a difference in society.
And to stay out.
Yes.
Yeah. And I remember when Mike called me and he told me you was in town.
Right.
And he was like, yo, come through and come see him. So I was like, all right, cool. And then on my way driving, he was like, yo, and, you know, he has this idea about doing a podcast. And one of the things that he spoke about, one of the points that he mentioned to me was he felt like the podcast was needed because mainstream media puts the light on the negative. It shows like the stabbings that happen in prison. It shows the rapes, the killings. You know, and then it also puts the negative light on when people come home. That we do understand that the majority of people, I think we're at 50, 60% now. People who leave prison eventually return back. But what about the other 40%, 30, 40% who don't return back? It may not be a bigger number than, you know, the 60 or the 70, but it's still a pretty decent sized number. And those stories aren't being told. And I feel like if more of those stories are told, then more people, it can help reduce recidivism. And so I just immediately was like, I bet I'm on board. I went to college and my major and minor was journalism and history. I don't know, it just seemed like a perfect fit. I know you on the inside. I know Mike on the inside. Solid dudes, you know, who's generally living the life that they're talking about. So I just was like, yo, this is going to rock. Excuse me. So what is your goal? What was the goal that you, Mike, had in mind for the podcast? What is it that you want the audience to take away from the podcast?
Well, two things. No, more than two. First, the goal of the podcast is really to educate the audience, to help people who are struggling to overcome negative circumstances. See that the circumstances with prison, even though in some cases it could be permanent, but it's temporary because people are going to get out. And that's why you have the recidivism rate the way it is, because people are going to get out. But how they come out is important. And how to get through it is important. That's something that we didn't have. We didn't have the guidance. Not that people wasn't successful. Not that a lot, like you said, 40% of the people that was going home was being successful. But nobody was telling that story because they were scared to be associated with being in prison. Scared that it's going to put a stain on themselves or hinder their success. But on the contrary, the people, I feel like if the people that do recidivate have a roadmap that they can follow, maybe they won't recidivate. Maybe if they have more information on how it's done, maybe they see more people capable of sticking through it, they won't recidivate. And for other people, it's a lesson for them. How do they get out their circumstances? So it was important on both ways. I was looking for, and we as a group was looking for some examples to follow. We had to make our own way. And they were out there. They were just hidden in society. So we feel strongly that if this information is disseminated out, even for those who recidivate, they say their look at, I was able to do it. And through our podcast, we're going to be explaining how we do it. We're going to be explaining what it takes when it gets tough. So these are the things, because people, I just feel like people don't recidivate because they want to go back to prison.
Most.
It's usually people are going back to prison because they can't figure it out.
Yeah.
I can't speak for everybody, but for the majority of people, or they wouldn't be coming out. They would just stay in.
Yeah.
We need, like everybody else, we need these roadmaps. These people have done fabulous jobs. And first of all, overcoming their negative circumstances, transforming that from the inside. First, they change themselves from the inside in a negative circumstances. And then they're able to come outside, negotiate the changes, and be successful there. That information needs to be public. It needs to be out so that the people that you're talking about going through those changes will have a roadmap, will have somebody that they can say, if he can do it, I can do it. When I first went to prison, I had 25 to life. They gave me, once I went to court and I got found guilty, they gave me a time compensation sheet. And if people don't know what that is, that's telling you how much time you have to do. And mine said 2014 on the end, it said 9 until 9/9/9999.
Mm-hmm.
So I often thought of it as a death certificate because it gives you a beginning date. I started at 1987. And I came upstate 1988. So it was 1988, and my release date was 9/9/9/9999. That's a death certificate for us. If I hadn't met people that was doing time, if I hadn't met people that had did 15 or did 20 years in my travels, I would have been, there's no way I could fathom doing that much time, surviving that much time until I seen it. Mm. And when I seen it, I said, I can do it. Mm-hmm. You know, this was an internal thinking process. Even though, you know, I stood up, I caught myself being strong when I got all that time and I'm gotta do what I gotta do. Inside, I was going crazy.
Yeah.
It's impossible. And that's the same thing why this podcast is important to people, because if once you see somebody else do it, once you can actually see somebody else accomplishing these goals, you can perceive it for yourself.
Right.
So that's one of the, reasons.
And when he says these people, some of our guests are going to be politicians, entrepreneurs, teachers, professors, business owners, people who have successful marriages, right? Marriages that withstood the test of time. And we're also going to be interviewing those people who assisted people who were incarcerated.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sorry, I had a cold that I'm getting over. So they're going to share their stories with us, but they're also going to give the audience specific tools that you all can use to implement in your life and to become better. And so for those of you who are thinking about getting into politics or playing with the idea or thinking about owning your own business and you're trying to figure out how to do it with a felony on your back or heck, even with a misdemeanor on your back, the people that we are interviewing will be able to give you, in a sense, a blueprint. And so one of the things that I want to let the audience know is when you're watching the show, have a pen and pad with you so that you can take down notes, because you can hear what we're saying, but you're going to forget. You know what I mean? But if you write it down, you can always go back to it. We want to give out the information, but we also want to give the stories and the steps on how you can, to turn your life around. Some of the topics we'll be talking about is the way that people think, which is very important. How do you alter that? How do you change your thinking? And why is it important for you to change your thinking? Values, the importance of living a life based off of principles and values, and not living your life based off of emotion. Because I think that's a very important topic for us to speak about, because it was our emotions that got most of us in our situations. We were not thinking logically. Most of us were not living a life. Some of us will say that we are, like, that was the principle. They should not have violated the principle. But what principles were you living? What values were you living? And were you living a life based off values and principles? Purpose. The importance of having a purpose-filled life.
I like that. I'd just like to share just a little bit more on that too. And for people who maybe been married 20 years and you have to turn your life around. You have to now get into the workforce. You have to make a transition. People who are suffering from abuses. You have to turn your life around. These are examples of people, human experiences. And I love the way you really explain it. What we're trying to do is give people guidance. I mean, I can do it in a negative situation. You definitely can do it. If I can do it, if I can come from the dark, you can come from the dark. It's just, we're all standing on the shoulders of somebody. None of us are island until ourselves. Everything I'm doing, somebody did it before. It's just been hidden. I'm bringing it to light now.
Yeah.
But there has been many transformed individuals that I can look up to and have educated me. Some of them are still on the planet. Some of them are gone. I have fallen comrades that gave me inspiration, told me how to do it. So, and it's not just, and what I learned in here, I passed it on to my family. I passed it on to my sisters, to broken homes, to abused people. So this is not just for people who are, overcoming incarceration. This is a human experience, and it's applicable to all circumstances. Like my colleague just said, bring a pen, bring some paper with you. There's something that we're going to be saying that's going to benefit you. That is our hope and our goal, to uplift you, to guide you, to help you with our real life experiences.
And we're going to have these conversations, like I said in the beginning, over meals that we used to cook.
Oh, yeah.
While we were locked up. So let's talk about that. I remember when I proposed that idea, the idea to you, and it was some back and forth.
Yeah.
For a minute, like, I don't know if that's going to be a good idea. My reason for wanting to do it, have the meals included, was because, one, I just thought it was pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, yo, have some meals, have a food that we used to eat on the inside. But then when I thought deeper about it, mealtime, coming to the table. I remember as a kid, the dinner table was where the family spoke about what happened throughout the day, and that's where we came together. That was where we was able to get away from the busyness of life. And then on the inside, if you did not eat a meal with just anyone.
That's correct.
If someone offered you some food, it was either for a good reason or for a bad reason. You know what I'm saying? If you got offered a honey bun, you knew to stay away from that person who offered you that honey bun.
Right.
If you got offered a good plate of food by a person who was stand up, you understood that what they were saying was that they wanted you to be their friend, or they wanted to bring you into the family. And I just felt like that was something that's needed. I feel like it's a lost art in a sense. And I just wanted to bring that dynamic to the podcast, and I get to eat some good food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
while I'm doing my job.
And
so talk to me about like what food and eating a meal with someone
in
on the inside and on the
outside.
outside. What is that for you? What does that mean to you?
Well, growing up or having like Southern parents, my father was from Alabama. So my family is Florida and all that. When we go down to visit, if I would take you down to visit with me and my aunts or somebody offer you some food and you don't eat it, it's like an insult. So that's how food was a part of our culture. So when we invite you in to eat, that means we accept you. We're saying this is our hospitality. We open our arms to you. And if you refuse it, it was almost like you don't come with good intent. So that was the culture on the outside. On the inside, when we invited somebody to meal, unless they came with somebody that had some, maybe say a friend of a friend, may have come with somebody that we have in common. The food became sort of like a reminder of that bond we carry with our family.
Yeah.
And it became like a badge of acceptance
Yeah.
for each other. You know, I wouldn't give my food to anybody. I would throw it away before I give it to certain guys.
Yeah.
Because it showed that we were in agreement on some level.
Yeah, it was almost like a covenant. Like
we
almost got into not a fight, but like
yeah.
I was cooking a meal. One of the ways I made my money when I was locked up was I would cook for people, right?
Right.
So somebody asked me to cook for them. It wasn't my comrade, but I'm like, all right, this was also my business. So I'm cooking for them. And my man saw me cooking for them. And I didn't know he had an issue with
one of the guys you cooked. Yeah.
He had an issue with them. But then it wasn't even just that he had an issue with them. When I gave old boy the food and I didn't give him any, he legit pulled me to the back like, so we got problems now? And I was dumb confused. I was like, what you talking about? And he was like, nah, so why you eating with them? And I'm like, I'm not. I'm cooking for them. And he was like, yeah, but you didn't even bring me a plate of food. And we literally didn't talk for like 3 weeks. Right? Because I broke the covenant, right? But he was an OG. He was old school. And so, like, we hashed it out, but, like, he sat me down and explained to me, like, yo, man, you know what I'm saying, this is what it is when it comes down to food, you know what I'm saying? Like, did you ever see me bring anybody else food or bring anybody else to the table when we ate? There's a reason behind that.
Right.
And so it's like food is like a covenant, and it's our covenant to you all. It's our covenant to the audience. And that we're inviting you into our circle, and we're hoping that you invite us into your circle. And we're hoping to learn and to grow, to have good conversation with you all, because that's what took place like on the inside. It's a part of why I've changed. For me, it started on the inside with Michael Love, with Camerod, over some meals, and them schooling me on what it is to be a man, and like having deep, heartfelt, emotional conversations and educational conversations. And that's another thing I feel like people need to know, that these things take place on the inside. Yes. It's not just violence. It's not.
No, it's not.
It's not. There's so many brothers on the inside who are working hard day and night to become a better person. And we're going to have these conversations. We're going to talk about some of the topics we spoke about on the inside. And I don't know, anything that I'm missing?
No, it's and you know, when you think about it, prison was difficult in that you would make certain relationships. I thought that was interesting, you and your friendship. Like when he gave food to somebody else, it's like when you ate with somebody, or especially if you did it on a regular basis, and you did it like a business. You know what I mean? So it was like we can understand that, but still, even in the business arena, there was a personal connectedness with someone else in there. He had your back on your business. It was like, we're partners. And on the inside, when you ate with somebody, it showed that you are in agreement with that person, and they are in agreement with you. So, and it's missing. It is missing. Yeah. What you were saying earlier from the families, it's missing. And that's why we call this Taste of Transformation, because we want to bring that culture of eating and sharing back.
Yeah. And let's be clear, the podcast is not about food.
No.
It's a glimpse, like you get a glimpse of some of the food that we made, and we'll give you like the recipes. But it's more so about the conversation. And the food, like we know, food brings people together. You know what I mean? The churches is always doing free food because they know that free food will bring people to the church over God, which is weird. But tell somebody, yo, come to church and meet God. They're like, I'll be there next Sunday. You're like, yo, come to church, we got that fried chicken. Folks is gonna be there, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then you had a conversation.
Right.
Then you had a conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that that's what takes place here. Good conversation, over good food, edifying conversation, learning, growing, staying in hope, uplifting. So thank you all. Thank you, Anthony,
Yes.
And thank you all for joining us. We hope that you come back. We hope you continue to come back.
Yes,
You
come
can
back.
follow out the podcast. We're on all the major social medias, YouTube, Apple. I think we're going to be on Facebook, Spotify. You'll be able to find us. Please come back. Any last words, Anthony? Anything you want to share with folks?
And when you do, definitely don't forget to bring your pencils and your paper. Don't miss anything. We're here to inspire you. We're here to educate you, guide you to a positive life
and also lifestyle. And learn from y'all. This is it's going to be a growing. I like to look at it like organic.
And we want to leave a way that you can contact us for your comments.
Yeah,
we'll be available there, and we look forward to really reaching out and touching other people. And if you're the type of person that you just want to help somebody, but you don't want to be a part of it, give us a shot. We'll do it for you.
Yeah. So we'll see you at the table, and thank you for joining Taste of Transformation.
Peace.